interesting conversations. This is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to this Friday edition of the World Report with me, Arjun, Samar, Mahendran. Let's take a look at what's making headlines around the world. There's been another major blow to the US-India trade talks. President Donald Trump says he will not restart negotiations with New Delhi, not until we get it resolved, he said Thursday. Now, this comes at the back of Trump unilaterally slapping massive 50% tariffs on Indian goods in retaliation to New Delhi's purchase of Russian oil. Listen in.
President, just to follow up on the India tariffs, do you expect increased trade negotiations, since you've announced the 50% tariff?
No, not until we get it resolved.
Mr. President, just to follow up on the India tariffs, do you expect increased trade negotiations, since you've announced the 50% tariff?
No, not until we get it resolved.
Mr. President, just to follow up on the India.
Meanwhile, US State Department's principal spokesperson Tommy Pigott has underlined that India is a strategic partner with whom Washington engages in a full and frank dialogue, and that will continue. Listen in.
What this is about is an honest, full, and frank dialogue about real concerns that this administration has, that the president has outlined very clearly, addressing those concerns through his actions. He's spoken about them, whether it's about the purchase of Russian oil, whether it's about the trade imbalance. Addressing those concerns is important. So the president's been very clear. His concerns about what he has seen from India speak for themselves. He's truthed multiple times about it. But ultimately, this is about a frank and full dialogue, and that's what it means to advance American interests. That's what it means to really have full diplomatic dialogue with partners to address concerns that we need to see addressed. What this is about is an honest, full and frank dialogue about real concerns that this administration has, that the president has outlined very clearly, addressing those concerns through his actions. He's spoken about them, whether it's about the purchase of Russian oil, whether it's about the trade imbalance. Addressing those concerns is important. So the president's been very clear. His concerns about what he has seen from India speak for themselves. He's truthed multiple.
In a high-stakes diplomatic move, Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a phone call from Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, just as global concerns rise over Donald Trump's tariff spree. While India's official statement avoided mentioning US tariffs, sources suggest Brazil's Lula reached out to coordinate a response. Now, both leaders reaffirmed their commitment to boosting the India-Brazil strategic partnership, focusing on areas including trade, technology, energy, and defense. Now, with both countries hit by steep US import hikes, this conversation signals a deepening alliance between the global South powers determined to protecting their economies. Modi later called the talk meaningful and people-centric. My colleague Vishal Vivek gets you more on this.
Every time Trump seems to be making a statement against one of the BRICS nations, these nations seem to be rallying with each other, and the latest in that category is China. China's ambassador to India has clearly stated that Trump is a bully. If you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. So that's a big attack on Trump. He's gone on to say that he actually means that China is actually backing India on this, which is a rare instance because, as I mentioned, BRICS seems to be solidifying in the backdrop of Trump's repeated attacks. Trump has attacked almost all the BRICS nations with heavy tariffs. Both Brazil and India now face 50% and above tariffs. And as you mentioned, President Lula of Brazil and Prime Minister Modi spoke last night. And now the Chinese envoy has also commented on the same issue. It's a rare instance of all these nations really unifying against Trump. And Lula has gone one step further and said that he's not willing to even speak with Trump, but instead he'll speak with other leaders of BRICS, such as Prime Minister Modi and President Putin and President Xi Jinping. So that goes to show that Trump seems to be isolated on the international stage as far as tariffs are concerned.
National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met Russian President Vladimir Putin at the Kremlin on Thursday. Now, a video released by the Kremlin press service captured a moment Doval warmly shook hands with Putin before the two leaders sat down for high-level talks, just as you see on your screens right now. Now, this key meeting is a part of Doval's visit to Moscow, signaling a deepening of strategic ties between New Delhi and Russia. Now, earlier, Doval also met with Russian Security Council Secretary Sergei Shoigu. The visit comes just ahead of a trip by President Putin to India later this year and amid growing tensions, needless to say, between New Delhi and Washington. In a major diplomatic development, the Kremlin says Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin will meet in the coming days. Now, Trump recently said there's a very good prospect of a summit that could in fact include Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, aiming to jumpstart stalled peace talks over the war in Ukraine. Now, Zelensky has backed the idea, while Putin called a meeting with Zelensky far off for now. Meanwhile, Trump's deadline for Russia to agree to a ceasefire or face tougher sanctions expires Friday. Talks could happen as soon as next week, possibly in the UAE for all we know. Meanwhile, Russia continues heavy airstrikes and the US has just approved fresh $200 million in new military aid for Ukraine. My colleague Vishal Vivek joins us for more on this. Vishal, what's the latest you're picking up, and how might this geopolitical play, if we may call it, play out in the longer run?
See, all eyes will be on this big meet, Trump-Putin meet. Whenever they meet, the date has not been confirmed yet, but the Kremlin has confirmed that the meeting indeed will take place in the coming days. They have not, as I mentioned the exact date or time or the venue of the big meeting, but whether or not this meeting will yield any results, that's the biggest question. Whether or not this will pave the way for the war to be ended, that is also another question, because this war has been grinding for more than 3 years now, killed thousands of people. Each month, thousands are getting killed. So far, there's no end in sight because there's a deadlock between both the sides, Russia and Ukraine. Both are standing their ground. Russia doesn't want to let go of the territory it has occupied. Ukraine, on the other hand, is not ready to relent. Russia has been gaining some ground in its summer offensive. Will it be willing to let go of that offensive, let go of that advantage? That is also one of the biggest questions. So far, Russian President Putin has stalled Trump on whenever the US side has tried to calm the situation down. The repeated talks have not yielded any result. This will be one of the biggest inflection points in the history of the war. But still, the larger question remains whether this war will actually be ended.
Summing it up, Vishal, 3 years down the line, diplomacy still remains in the doldrums. Thank you so much for getting us the latest there. Moving on and shifting our focus to the other conflict raging in the Middle East, where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office says the country's security cabinet has approved a plan to take over Gaza City. Now, the decision taken early on Friday, the 8th of August, for perspective, marks another escalation of Israel's 22-month offensive launched in response to Hamas's October 7th attack. Families and supporters of the hostages, meanwhile, protested in Tel Aviv and outside Netanyahu's office in Jerusalem as the security cabinet discussed these plans. Some demonstrators also chained themselves to each other and warned that the move may very well be a death sentence of their loved ones. Meanwhile, NDTV World's Vishnu Shom gets you the latest from Jerusalem.
Responding to a question which I posed to him here in Jerusalem on the potential impact on people in Gaza, whether there would be an increased number of casualties if Israel were to enhance their missions in the Gaza Strip, the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, said that Israel didn't have any plans at annexing Gaza itself. However, there would be a significant move, it appears, in the near future, which would ultimately lead to the creation of a transitional authority which would look at the entire Gaza situation. Now, that transitional authority would only be created, or Gaza itself would be handed over to the transitional authority once there was a security perimeter which was created by Israel. Now, the boundaries of that transition, of what Israel plans in terms of the security perimeter were not defined to me, but it does appear that that's something which the Israeli armed forces, the Israeli government would look at very closely once they're able to separate Hamas terrorists from innocent people in the Gaza Strip. Benjamin Netanyahu also making it clear that the situation would be much better if Hamas were to lay down their arms immediately and call for a ceasefire so that there could be a process of getting back the hostages, because that is the biggest priority of Israel. Remember, there are 50-odd hostages who are still in the Gaza Strip being held by Hamas. It's believed that the large number of them are alive. But this news of what Israel plans to do next with Gaza comes at a time when international efforts to try and bring a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip have failed. Israel has now decided to act to try and end that crisis in Gaza once and for all. The Prime Minister also making it clear to us that Hamas would not have any role in this transitional authority. In Jerusalem, with camera person Xavier Thomas, Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Now, shifting focus, Indonesia, the world's most populous Muslim-majority nation, is preparing Kalang, an uninhabited island on the northwest side of the country, to treat around 1,000 wounded people from the Gaza Strip. Now, the announcement was made Thursday by Indonesia's Foreign Minister Sugiono, who, like other Indonesians, uses one name only. Now, the minister said that Indonesia was looking at Kalang as a place to treat Palestinians because the island was used as a COVID treatment center recently, with the infrastructure already in place there. Here's more.
So kita bersedia untuk merawat sampai 1.000 anak-anak ataupun korban terluka yang membutuhkan perawatan medis. Tentu saja dengan satu setujuan dari seluruh pihak terkait di sana, setujuan dari negara-negara tetangganya langsung, Jordan, Mesir, dan tentu saja otoritas Palestina sendiri. Dan dalam rangka persiapan itu kita juga menyiapkan alternatif lokasi di mana kita bisa menampung dan merawat mereka.
We shift our focus westwards, viewer, where the Trump administration is doubling to $50 million reward for the arrest of Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro, accusing him of being one of the world's largest narco traffickers and working with cartels to flood the U.S. with fentanyl-laced cocaine. That's correct. Maduro was in fact indicted in Manhattan federal court back in 2020. This was during the first Trump presidency, along with several close allies, on federal charges of narco-terrorism and conspiracy to in fact import cocaine. Now, at the time, the U.S. offered a $15 million reward for his arrest. That was later raised by the Biden administration to a whopping $25 million. The same amount the U.S. offered for the capture of Osama bin Laden following the September 11, 2001 attacks. For perspective. Shifting focus far east, where heavy rain pounded the southern Japanese island of Kyushu on Friday, triggering floods and landslides and also sending residents to shelters. This as officials issued the highest level warnings in parts of the region. A mudslide hit a house in Aira City in the Kagoshima prefecture, burying 2 people who were rescued and taken to hospital. This is according to updates from the Fire and Disaster Management Agency of the prefecture, mind you. Now, the agency issued evacuation advisories to over 360,000 people in the Kagoshima prefecture and the neighboring Miyazaki. Television footage shows muddy water gushing down swollen rivers. Meanwhile, in Kirishima, floodwater was up to knee level at a shopping mall. That's the latest update we're getting for you right here on the World Report. Meanwhile, torrential rains have caused severe flooding and mudslides in northwestern China's Gansu province since Thursday afternoon. This has forced evacuations that's also prompted large-scale rescue operations. In the Linahui Autonomous Prefecture, authorities relocated 32 residents overnight as rising floodwaters threatened homes. Meanwhile, Dokxiang County saw roads destroyed by mudslides, with police working to rescue trapped residents, as you see on your screen right now. The region remains under heavy rainfall, with the Kangale and other counties issuing red alerts for heavy rain. China's most severe weather warning, as some areas are expected to receive over 100 millimeters of accumulated rainfall by Friday evening. Over in the neighborhood, Japanese warship docked in New Zealand on Friday for the first time in almost 90 years. Now, this comes amid efforts by Tokyo to deepen its strategic ties in the South Pacific Ocean. 2 destroyers with over 500 crew sailed into Wellington Harbour, accompanied by New Zealand Navy ship HMNZS Canterbury. Now, the JS ISE and destroyer JS Suzunami were on an Indo-Pacific deployment and arrived from Sydney, where Japan's military took part this month in war games involving New Zealand, Australia and other countries. The Wellington visit, meanwhile, was ceremonial, but it comes as Japan has increasingly sought to deepen bilateral military cooperation amid ongoing regional tensions. Now, Japan's only treaty ally is the United States. Here's more.
Our defense forces are developing the cooperative work, not only with New Zealand and Australia, but also with many Pacific Island countries. So, main goal is free and open in the Pacific.
More Americans are now viewing China as a competitor rather than an enemy. This is according to a private survey conducted by 1/3 Way. It's a US national think tank. For perspective, now the 2025 survey shows that the share of Americans who see China as competitor increased from 34% in 2023 to 42% in 25. The proportion of Americans taking hostile attitudes toward China, in fact, has dropped from earlier 36% in 23 to 29% this year. Now, as a result of this, more than half of the respondents to the survey now favor cooperation over standing up to China. The share increased by 20%, flipping the overall policy preference. Meanwhile, Third Way also said Americans' softening attitudes towards China comes amid increasing awareness of the role China plays in their daily lives. And well, it's time we shift into a short break. Much more on the other side.
Someone's happy. Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo. The site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. 75 ball bingo. Even 90 ball bingo. Fill your bingo boots today. Get that lucky cow feeling at luckycowbingo.com/bingo or download the Lucky Cow Android app from the Play Store.
No child should suffer the torture of trachoma, but so many are in pain right now. Nananga's lashes have turned inwards. They rip and tear away at his eyes. Pamelo's sight could be gone forever. He's just 3 years old. Kofanga screams for his mother. His eyes are so infected that he can't even see her. For so many children in the world's poorest countries, trachoma is torture. It's a painful infection often spread by flies, and it's destroying children's eyesight. But it could be stopped if you help today. By calling 0800 038 4926 and giving £1 a week to Sightsavers, you can help make sure children get the treatment they desperately need. You'll help us bring them the medicines and the care that can treat infections. And that means you'll be helping to save children from the torture of trachoma and a life of blindness. Please help us reach them. Call 0800 038 4926. Text C13 to 82727 or go online and give just £1 a week now. Because we need you to help save the sight of children like Nananga. We need you to help save them from the torture of trachoma.
Some people think life slows down in your 50s, but I'm just getting started. And I don't want my lot to have to worry about funeral costs. Let them spend their money on nicer things. So I decided to learn more about over 50s life insurance from Cover Today. They're the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period. Unlike other insurers who could make you wait up to 2 years, with Cover Today, you're fully covered from day one. And you're covered for the whole of your life. Unlike other things in life, the price never goes up. Go online or talk to their friendly UK team in just one phone call. Cover Today are the only over 50s life insurer with no waiting period and no annoying trips to the doctors either.
Plus, you get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Now I'm with Cover Today, I can get on with something much more interesting.
To get a free life insurance quote, call our friendly UK team on 0800 470 4474 or visit covertoday.co.uk.
Welcome back. You're watching The World Report. Now we shift our focus to updates from the world of business, where OpenAI has launched ChatGPT-5, its latest AI chatbot, claiming it can deliver PhD-level expertise in coding, writing, and more. CEO Sam Altman calls it smarter, faster, and more useful than ever before. He in fact says GPT-5 feels like talking to an expert, not just a student. The new model is designed to give more accurate answers and fewer made-up responses, also known as hallucinations. It's also aimed at helping coders create softwares more easily. But some experts, however, are cautioning the hype may be more marketing than an actual breakthrough. Meanwhile, rival AI company Anthropic has cut off OpenAI's access to its coding tools, signaling growing competition. GPT-5 will roll out to all users this week, with many eager to see if it really, indeed, lives up to its hype. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said on Thursday he expects the country to collect $50 billion a month in tariff revenues, or even more, up from $30 billion last month, as higher levies on imports from dozens of countries kick in. U.S. President Donald Trump has called for the immediate resignation of Intel CEO Lip Bhutan, citing alleged ties to Chinese military-linked companies. Now, Trump alleges Tan is highly conflicted and cannot lead the tech giant, which has received billions in U.S. government funding to boost American chip manufacturing. Meanwhile, Intel pushed back, saying Tan and the board are committed to national security and supporting the U.S. economy. Now, Tan, a naturalized American, was born in Malaysia, has faced scrutiny over investments in Chinese firms in the past as well, though no laws have been broken till now. Meanwhile, Intel shares dropped over 3% following Trump's demand. Experts suggest Trump's move may also be very well linked to disagreements over Intel's U.S. investments. Now, this unusual call from a president highlights rising tensions over U.S.-China tech ties amid growing national security concerns. Apple has announced that it will invest $100 billion more in the U.S. Now, what could be the impact on India and the rest of the world? Watch this very special report by my colleague Disha Bakchi.
It seems Tim Cook is the new golden apple of Trump's eye. After months of facing pressure from the US president to shift Apple's manufacturing back to American soil, the chief of the tech giant took to a path many have ventured before, booing President Trump. Visiting the Oval Office, Cook didn't show up empty-handed. Along with announcing a fresh $100 billion investment in US manufacturing, he brought a unique golden gift, a piece of iPhone glass mounted on a 24-karat gold base.
Today, Apple is announcing that it will invest $600 billion, that's with a B, in the United States over the next 4 years. That's $100 billion more than they were originally going to invest. And this is the largest investment Apple has ever made in America and anywhere else. And it's just an honor to have you. As you know, Apple's been an investor in other countries a little bit. I won't say which ones, but a couple. And they're coming home.
President, we took that challenge very seriously. I'm glad to be here with you today, and I'm very proud to say that today we're committing an additional $100 billion to the United States, bringing our total U.S. investment to $600 billion over the next 4 years.
While it seemed like a simple glass disc, it signaled Apple's Make in America commitment and scored a big win in Trump's tariff war. Trump's new 50% levies on India have left out smartphones, a crucial factor given India recently surpassed China to become the largest exporter of iPhones to the US. Apple will also dodge incoming new tariffs on semiconductors, since it committed to building iPhone components in the US. While these high tariffs no longer spell trouble for Apple, they still hurt the tech giant, with Cook saying tariffs will likely cost the company $1.1 billion this quarter alone. In India, the tariff bite won't spoil the Apple harvest, as manufacturers have remained firm, going ahead with plans to produce the next iPhone in India. Yet with Apple pushing its manufacturing back home, remains to be seen what the future holds for Apple in India. Disha Bagchi for NDTV.
Now we shift our focus to the world of sports, where the 12th World Games was officially declared open in Chengdu city of southwest China's Sichuan province on Thursday evening. Chinese state councillor made the declaration during the opening ceremony, which was held at the Tianfu International Convention Center. Running from the 7th of August to the 17th, the Chengdu World Games will feature more than 256 events across 60 disciplines in 34 sports, with a record-breaking 6,679 participants from 116 countries and regions taking part. Now, this also includes 3,942 athletes. Meanwhile, more than 8,600 volunteers have also been recruited for the Games, which are being supported by more than 500 urban service stations to assist athletes and visitors alike. During the opening ceremony, athletes from various countries interacted with the mascots of the Chengdu World Games, Shubao and Jinzai. The Chengdu World Games featured a torch relay on July 26 at the iconic museum at the cultural heart of southwest China's Sichuan province, with 120 torchbearers participating in the milestone moment. We shift our focus to the world of entertainment, where actor Gina Carneo has set her federal lawsuit against Lucasfilms and his parent company, the Walt Disney Co., over a claim that she was fired from The Mandalorian in 2021 for expressing right-wing views on social media. Now, the specific terms of the agreement were not made available. Well, that's all we have for you on the World Report this Friday. Have a lovely weekend. See you again on Monday.
Someone's happy. Get that lucky cow feeling with luckycowbingo.com/bingo. The site that's bursting with beautiful bingo games. 75 ball bingo. Even 90 ball bingo. Fill your bingo boots today. Get that lucky cow feeling at luckycowbingo.com/bingo or download the Lucky Cow Android app from the Play Store.
This is an urgent appeal from UNICEF UK. Children in Gaza are in critical need of food, water and medicine, and we need your help. UNICEF is working non-stop, providing life-saving medical supplies, clean water and fuel to keep services running. But we can't do it without you. Search UNICEF Gaza online or text Gaza to 84901 and help bring hope for children caught in this devastating crisis.
Witness the fitness, the clock will tell 11. One hope, one quest.
Tomorrow starts tonight. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
With Post Office Over 50s life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, your guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and from just £1.15 a week. Plus free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £125 gift card for amazon.co.uk, Tesco or M&S. Visit postoffice.co.uk/over50s.
Discover the finest quality made-to-measure window dressings delivered direct to your door. Shop now for 30% off selected products at blindsdirect.co.uk.
Sometimes it's the little things that remind us of them. stay close, even when you're far apart. Send money worldwide with Remitly.
I've been thinking, I want to plan my funeral so it feels more like a celebration. My parents always said I was born dancing. I just love it. Bhangra, disco, even line dancing. So when my time comes, I want to have music, dancing, the lot.
With over 150 years' experience, you can count on Co-op Funeral Care to help you pre-plan the funeral you want. To find out more, visit Co-op Funeral Care or give us a call.
Hello and welcome to this Friday edition of the World Report with me, Arjun, Samar, Mahendran. Let's take a look at what's making headlines.